If you've been scanning through your bank statement and stumbled across EUI Limited Prem TR, and you think, who on earth is that? I'll explain everything now. EUI Limited is a debt collection company, and they collect debt not only for other companies but for themselves too if they've purchased it. They're normally connected to insurance and they're a subsidiary of Admiral Group plc, so it's highly likely to be associated with an insurance payment. The first thing to do if you come across EUI Limited on your statement is to cross-check it with any information that you can find. A friend of mine had an insurance policy with Diamond, but EUI Limited came up on his bank statement with a load of zeros after it and no money had been taken out. He didn't have any debt and they'd never actually taken any money, but it just appeared on his bank statement anyway. So it can be quite confusing. If money has been taken out and there's a possibility that they could be collecting debt, have you seen any letters? Have you ever had an insurance policy that you didn't keep up with? It's down to EUI Limited to prove that you owe the debt, so get in touch with them if you want some answers. If it turns out that the debt does belong to you, then you should have a look at your finances and work out whatever you can afford to pay. Debt collectors are regulated by the FCA, so you should never pay over the odds and struggle. Providing you've come to an agreement that you'll pay the debt, then EUI Limited should leave you alone. It's also worth mentioning that debt collectors aren't the same as bailiffs, so they don't have the same power. If a debt collector shows up at your house, don't open the door and tell them that you want to communicate by email, and they should go away. They are annoyingly persistent, so the best thing to do if you owe the debt is to work out a way at how to chip away at it. If you do feel a bit bogged down with it all and you're struggling financially, please don't worry because there are options available to you. You might not have to pay all the debt back too. I'll run through them quickly here. Not all of these options will suit everyone, but there may be like one or two that could work out for you. First up, debt management plans. They're an informal agreement that you make with the creditors to pay back your debts at a lower and more affordable rate. Normally that means paying less each month, but just over a longer time frame. The catch is that you can't include all of your debts in a debt management plan, so there are things that can go into it like credit card debt, personal loans and an overdraft, but court fines and mortgage arrears, they sadly can't be part of it. Next is debt relief orders. They freeze your debt payments for a full year, and then if your situation hasn't changed after 12 months, then the debt's written off. So you make no payments towards debt in 12 months and interest isn't added. Pretty good, right? Sadly, debt relief orders have strict eligibility criteria. For example, you can't own anything of significant value like a house, and you can't have more than £2,000 in savings. Another option is offering a final settlement. If you happen to have access to a large lump sum, then you can offer that to the debt collectors or the creditors that they work for. It might not be for the full amount you owe, but sometimes they'll be willing to write off the remaining debt because you'll be saving them the time chasing you down for payments each month. Unfortunately, getting your final settlement offer agreed might not be that simple, and your creditor could just simply refuse. Individual voluntary arrangements are another way to deal with debt collectors, and it's a formal agreement between you and your creditors to reduce your payments to one simple payment each month. It lasts for 5 years, and then at the end, any remaining debt's written off. Again, like with all these options, there are catches. IVAs are legally binding, so you'll need to keep up with the terms that you agree to, otherwise you could be back to square one. Bankruptcy is probably the most famous option, and you may already know, but with bankruptcy, all your assets are reviewed and some may be sold off to pay back your debt. After a year, any remaining debt will be written off. Of course, bankruptcies have some obvious downsides, mainly that some of your belongings may be sold to pay for your debt and your credit score will become very low. Paying back your debts, whether in full or using a method that I mentioned earlier, will ensure that you keep the debt collectors at bay. And one simple step that you could take today is to find out if any of the debt solutions that I mentioned could work for you. In the description of this video, I've linked to a form on my new website, and it's got a few multiple choice questions like how much debt do you owe and how many people do you owe? At the end of the form, it'll connect you to a company that I've partnered with to provide you all the information that you need about debt solutions that are available. So click on the link in the description, check it out, and let me know how you get on.